Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fibre Mates. My name is Gay, and I am here with
Deb and Janine
from Skein Sisters. I have made it to Sydney to record this episode, and I am so excited to bring it to you. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're recording, the Gadigal people, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. So welcome to this episode in Sydney. I was having a coffee next door. It's Mus Cafe.
Yeah.
Beautiful cafe if you're in the area and need some nourishment like I did this morning. And I saw Janine and I was like, the emoji face with the star eyes. I couldn't believe it. I was just like starstruck, and I was just sitting there in my corner knitting like, oh my God, it's Janine. I've only seen her in newsletters, which is, your newsletter is my favorite. We'll get to that in a little bit. Sorry, I should let you talk. How about we start with lightning round?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We'll get you straight in.
Yeah, sure.
All right. We can take a break for more coffee. We need one. All right. Lightning round. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I've got coffee now, but it's tea the rest of the day.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Cats.
If you were a knitting stitch, what knitting stitch would you be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Dandelion stitch.
Oh, that's nice. You've got a beautiful top.
Out there.
With that, yes.
I have a cardigan with the stitch on it. I always get compliments, and it was a stitch that I loved doing, and I love flowers. We have a botanical background, so
Yeah.
I'm going to say dandelion stitch.
Fantastic.
Put that there.
And I know it's not a stitch, it's a technique, but colour work is just my jam at the moment. Totally love it.
All right, you get a second follow-up question then. Mosaic or stranded?
Oh, stranded.
I'm doing, dandelion stitch.
Not
Staying on my dandelion stitch.
clearly not team color work over here.
I do like it.
Do you?
Actually, I probably prefer lace work, I've decided.
Yeah. I'd love to like mosaic. I get so bored. It's just like the same thing over and over and over.
That's true. I'm doing a mosaic stitch shawl right now that has been a whip for probably near on a year.
Yeah.
See, Deb has the same problem with stockinette.
Yes. Although I'm getting better at that, I think. And I think Netflix helps, doesn't it?
It does.
Because you can just keep binging.
It does. Like
Keep going round
you don't
and
even
round.
have to like press play again, right? It
No,
does the
just
auto.
reloads.
Keep going. Stockinette flat or in the round, or both?
Probably either.
In the round, because it's so fast, right?
Yeah,
Because you don't have to think about it.
that's much easier than I think
Yeah.
than stockinette flat, which I also don't mind. Although I am a pretty loose knitter, so I just have trouble with my purl side, but I haven't.
Yeah. Unlike you.
Yeah. I think we have one more lightning round question. Sorry, that wasn't very lightning.
You'll get to know us. We just will chat about
I know.
anything.
Sorry, I should have said this is the point. This is Fibre Mates. I just was so excited to get stuck in that I missed half of the introduction, which is I'm a knitting technical editor based out of Melbourne, and this is my podcast where I interview people in the wool and yarn industry like Deb and Janine. Sorry, back to the lightning round.
Yeah, what's our last one?
If you could only knit with one type of yarn for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I could give you an answer today and it would probably be changing
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I know, because it's really hot here. Today I think mine would be cotton.
I know.
Yeah. I'm going to say yak.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. She's gone out there with the luxury.
Oh,
And I was just going to say foreplay. Because that encompasses
that's like a cheat hands.
I know, it is a cheat answer. I think I just actually love wool. Really, really love wool.
Yeah.
Because there's so many permutations of it, right? Yeah.
And I think we are starting to, in Australia, see more varieties.
Yep.
So not
Yeah.
just merino,
No,
which
that's
I
right.
think is really exciting because it just gives more options and
Yeah, it totally does. But even merino in all of its different forms too, right?
for sure.
It doesn't all have to be super soft and without structure.
Exactly.
You can get really beautiful different merinos.
Yep. Yep. Oh, fantastic. Lightning round done, out of the way. Now, I actually have a question 0, which came to my mind, which is, are you really sisters?
No. No, we're not. So the whole thing about the sisters, we spent so long, didn't we, trying to come up with a name?
Yeah.
That was probably, I think when we first actually started thinking about having a shop together and so on, we didn't have a venue or anything. It was just this idea. And then we were like, okay, let's work on a name. And it obviously had to have a yarn component, but it had to have the community and the family element to it. And so that's where the sisters came from. Just that everybody, no matter who comes in, is part of that family, that yarn family. So
We say we're sisters in yarn.
yeah,
So it's not just like biological sister, it's more of a community sister.
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Yeah, with our staff, with our customers, with everybody who's involved in our business.
So how did it come about from that idea? Like, how did you decide, wake up one morning and say, let's start a yarn shop?
It's
Like,
all Deb's fault.
Yeah, it's all my fault.
all Deb's fault.
yay, yay, Deb.
I have got a background in textiles and fashion design, and that's where my first career was. And I did a sideways. Well, I'd worked in Harrods when I was in my early 20s in the ladies' knitwear department, right?
Yes.
So there was a sign that I had to do something in this world, and I did a sideways step into garden design. Still design, just different medium, right? And at that time, I still I was making notes about the yarn store that I wanted to have. So I still have all of those, and it's not that dissimilar from what we've got.
I love that it was a long time
It
dream.
was a really long time dream because I just, in the 80s, we were all knitting with Annie Black and all of those kind of yarns, right?
Yes.
And then all those shops disappeared from all the department stores, all the local shopping centres. They just all went, and there was just a handful left. And it just was so sad.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
And we then started working together at the Botanic Gardens. Realised we had this mutual, fascination and interest, and just started buying yarn together.
Online. Yeah, so
Oh.
sitting up till midnight, waiting for things to go, to become available, combining our orders to lessen the amount of shipping.
Yeah.
And then things would arrive, and they might be beautiful, but they weren't quite what we thought they were going to be. So we had this whole thing where we were ordering lots of yarn online, and it just wasn't quite resonating. And then it just came to us that this seems stupid. Why didn't we have a shop in Sydney where we could just go and see these yarns and see the colours and feel the yarns? And Sydney didn't have anything like Skein Sisters at the time.
Because yarn shopping is so tactile.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's why if we walk into a store that's got yarn in plastic bags, we didn't want that. Because, people will pick it up, they'll squish it, there'll be that prickle test. You can't know that if you can't feel it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about it for a couple of years. Was it that long? It's probably that long.
Well, I think from the time when we said we should do this to actually knuckling down and finding a space and all the rest of it, it was probably 18 months at least.
Yeah. No, it's a long
process.
Like, there's a lot to do and consider when you start a business.
Yeah, I don't think we considered most of that, to be perfectly honest.
We're just blissfully naive.
Yeah. And so, how long has Skein Sisters been open?
It'll be 8 years in April.
Well done. Well
Yeah.
done. That's amazing. And through COVID. So that's
It's been
like what,
strange.
almost 3 years of COVID. So
Yeah.
We still say we don't know what a normal year is.
Oh, because you had your beginning years and then COVID.
And
Did
even
you-
things like the bushfires in Sydney.
Yes.
You know, we had, 2 or 3 months where it was just, you'd look out the window and you couldn't see across the street.
Yes.
And people did not go out of their houses. It was really, it affected us for actually quite a long time through into that following year. And then the next year was COVID.
So during those periods of time, did you find more? Sorry, I'm going to back up a step. For the bushfires and then for COVID, have you always had the online shop? I suppose is my question.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was always one of the things where when we opened the bricks and mortar store, we wanted to have an online store to go with it, a good online store to go with it. So the online store opened pretty much when the bricks and mortar store opened, and it's always been that the two are linked. So whatever is in the store, you can see it online.
And it has to be, because I talk about there'd be a brand that would come in, right, and it would go online. Like the fringe supply bags, for instance, are a good example. They'd get launched worldwide at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and within like 5 minutes they'd all be sold.
Oh dear.
And we'd have people in the shop trying to get them and people online trying to get them. And if you didn't have it all linked,
I'll forget it.
you totally forget
Yeah.
it. And of course we had moments where somebody was trying to buy it in store and someone was buying it online, but they're few and far between, fortunately. Yeah, so it had to be completely enmeshed
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in those hard times, were people buying more online? Like, were your online orders consistent, or like when people weren't leaving their houses, did you feel like they were, I don't know, I would call it comfort buying.
Yes. No, the bushfires, nobody was buying anything.
No, it was too
It
hot.
was-
It was
yeah.
too,
Yeah.
everything just stopped.
Yeah.
Yes.
For people that don't live in Australia, when there's a bushfire that affects a major metropolitan area like Sydney or even Melbourne, literally I call it looking like Armageddon.
Yeah,
like,
but that
the
was-
sky just turns this bizarre orange color and
Yeah.
the haze. Like there's nothing.
We'd never experienced anything like that though,
No.
because I think there's one day that I remember, say 10 years ago, where it was like that, but not for several months would we look out and have that smoke.
The air quality was so poor
So
too. People
poor.
were really not wanting to go
Yeah.
outdoors.
No, that's why I sound froggy. I've come from Melbourne and we had some bushfires over there that have just really kicked off my allergies and my
Yeah.
sinuses. It's really, really difficult. Sorry, we'll come back to the yarn now. And the shop.
But it's all these things that as a business owner you kind of don't realise are going to affect you.
Yeah.
And they just do. World events do affect you.
Yes.
You know, elections do. All sorts of different
Well,
strange things.
I think when the knitted cat hats
Yes.
were a thing, right? Did
Yeah,
everybody
that's
want
right.
pink yarn? You felt like pink yarn flying on the shelves? Yeah. So with the online shop, it's connected, but is it like having a separate business? Do you have to have like staff that just pick orders and ship versus like staff that are, with customers helping with color selections and things like that? Like how does it even work? How do you do that how do you manage that?
Yeah, well, we have an online manager, and she is brilliant. And she very much sort of takes care of that online side of the business in terms of when orders are placed, making sure we pick the stock and that it goes to the right person, and working through any queries and things like that. So there is a whole process that just needs to be followed when orders are placed. But there's the other side of the online shop as well, which is actually creating the shop, creating it in a way that when you visit our website, it makes sense. It's logical, easy to navigate, gives you the information that you need. You can find things quickly and easily. There's a whole lot of thought that needs to go into how you structure an online shop that makes that shopping experience comfortable and pleasant and fast and uncomplicated.
Yeah, so that's all the IT stuff in the background. So we have an IT manager as well, and then we also are all part of that. In essence, you know, we're designing that, coming up with layouts and so on.
Writing copy,
photographing.
Photos,
I was just gonna say photographing. Like,
it's a huge job.
it's a lot of work.
massive.
Yeah, and something like spin cycle yarns, for instance.
Yes.
Which every single batch is different.
Of course.
And if you look back at a colour from 7 years ago when we first bought it to now, nothing like it.
Quite different.
Chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
You'd never recognise it. And it's gone through all these different iterations to end up with what it is now. So every time that comes in, we have to rephotograph it. Because otherwise it gets sent back,
Yep.
you know?
Oh, because I, as a purchaser, see
Yeah.
it as one thing. It comes, it's something different, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
that's
well,
right.
Sorry, Deb. Yes.
I know. I ordered red and blue and it's orange.
Yeah.
And it can be like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's a lot of work to do all of those different processes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't have extra stock. So we don't have online stock somewhere. Our warehouse is literally our shop. So during the day, the girls in the shop are picking for orders as they come in. And then that gets sort of processed through the system and ends up being packed and sent.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're all very enmeshed.
Sounds like you're very streamlined as well, like with some really good embedded processes in place to make sure things run at least fairly smoothly, or as smoothly as they can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What do you think are the biggest challenges that you've faced as owners of a bricks and mortar shop?
COVID would have to be up there.
Yeah.
Because literally this shop, we closed the shop in early March. And not knowing when we would be opening the doors again. And that was pretty heartbreaking. At that stage, I think we were about 2 and a bit years old.
It must have been.
Yeah. Not that old. We were still very much in the early stage of our of the business. And then within 24 hours, everything online went nuts. So
and the phone, oh my God.
the phone didn't stop.
It
So
did
all
not
of the
stop.
staff that we'd said, go home and
Yeah.
we'll be in touch. We were picking up the phone. Can you just come back? Can you come back, please?
Hiring people.
But it was also things like just trying to source stock.
Yeah.
Because our Australian suppliers eventually ran through their stock. And so we were trying to source from overseas, but a lot of places overseas were having similar problems, shutting down, mills were shutting down, and getting anything couriered was either incredibly expensive or just not happening. So trying to keep stock in the store, and then manage all of the other elements of social distancing, sending orders out, customer service. It was very challenging.
I was just going to say, ask if you had click and collect
Yeah.
for locals. I think my local yarn shop had that.
Yeah.
Which was...
You could swing past in your car and we drop
Yeah,
it
like
in
put
your
it on the
window.
or through the door. But I think that so many things that went haywire in COVID are still affecting us actually now. And it's things like freight is a massive one.
Yeah.
So the cost of freight has, well, it kind of doubled and tripled in COVID.
Wow. I think we all, as consumers, are aware that like postage has gone up, so having your packages shipped and that thing has increased, but not to that extent.
No,
I would have thought.
you know, we have to bring yarn in, obviously from overseas, and those I did an analysis of something coming from America a couple of months ago, just looking at how much it's gone up, and it is that doubling and tripling. And so if you have to, somehow you've got to add those prices on at every stage, right? So the yarn manufacturer, their freight has doubled or tripled, right? So they have to put their prices up of their raw component. And then it's just a knock-on effect with absolutely everybody.
Yes.
And so when people say, well, why have things gone up? That's one major reason why, right? And that's nothing that we can control. We just have to suck it up.
Yep.
So we're constantly looking at alternatives. Do we have to get things from overseas? Limiting that amount of exposure to those high freight costs, which means that you can't necessarily get all the yarn that you want to.
Yes.
Because you have to look at the price and go, well, is somebody going to pay $75 a skein? You know?
Yeah.
For a 4-ply merino?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of margin in yarn.
No, there's not.
No.
No. So that's just one little part that's still continuing. Even things like South America, all the mills pretty much closed in South America because none of the staff, they just weren't turning up. And I don't think that that's quite back to normal.
Back to normal.
No. So brands like Malabrigo, you know, sometimes we can get it and then sometimes we can't.
Yeah, yeah. I love their Rios.
I know, it's beautiful.
I actually knit a pair of socks in that.
Oh,
wow.
did you?
Yeah.
That's cozy.
Yeah. Yeah, they were beautiful, but it was also in tarsia in the round,
Oh, okay.
which I will never do again. Never. Don't need to.
No,
Don't need
done that one.
Anyway, mastered that tick that and all. So on the flip side, what is it about running a yarn shop that brings you the most joy?
Our customers and our community.
Yeah.
The people.
Definitely.
100%.
I've seen in your newsletters the craft nights,
Oh, yeah.
and I tried to time the trip to be able to make it, but I couldn't swing that. But that's okay. One day. One day
Yes,
I'll make it.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so it can be jam-packed full of people, which is really fun and exciting, and just people sharing what they're making and ideas and helping each other, and you'll find that even in the stores, somebody will be standing at the desk and then asking questions, and then another customer will get involved, and it's that connection through that common passion,
Yes.
right?
And it is a passion.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. And that's when I'm hanging out with my yarny friends, like, you just get so much inspiration and energy
Yes.
from ideas that other people have. Like, you just have this commonality, right? But they'll know designers that you aren't that familiar with, and types of yarns. Yeah, that's I can see why that would be.
Yeah. We do love opening boxes.
Who doesn't?
Still as exciting today.
It's like getting massive amounts of Happy Mail,
it's
right?
amazing.
Like as an individual knitter, like
Yeah.
you get like your hero pack or your, Australia Post bag full of yarn, but you are getting like
Yeah.
boxes.
And sometimes we literally have not seen it or felt it before. We've just ordered it because people have told us how much they love it, all of that, and we've seen it online or on socials or whatever. And yeah, we open that box and there is nothing like new yarn.
Yeah. No, I.
You get it?
100%. 100%. So, talking about unboxing, how do you decide what to bring into the shop?
So, there's a whole lot of things that we look at, and a lot of it is it one of the hottest and latest things? Then that might be a reason for us to get it. Do we have anything like it? So it's filling gaps in our kind of inventory.
Yes.
price point is another good thing that we look at.
Fibre blend.
Fibre blends, the dyeing technique and sophistication of the dyeing. Yeah, I came across a word, I was looking through some old notebooks yesterday, and it said tasteful intensity.
Ooh.
And that's when we were thinking about doing our own dyeing many years ago, and this notebook would have been 6 or 7 years old. That's a word or a phrase that we just kept coming back to, wasn't it? So that's what we are always looking for. Yeah.
I love that phrase. That's the phrase of the day. I think.
You can't steal it. You can use it.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I'll let you have to credit. I will.
Yeah.
I'll credit it, definitely. The newsletter. I love it. And
Thank
literally every Friday I finish work, I come home, my husband fixes me a Negroni.
Excellent.
And I sit on the couch and I read your newsletter.
Awesome.
And I've gotten so much exposure to different designers from the if you haven't seen this newsletter, you need to go sign up for it. Literally, like, straight away, press pause, go to the Skein Sisters website.
Thank you.
And sign up for this newsletter. So not only do they have kind of updates, these little life updates that are really sweet, then there's updates about the shop, yarns, and then for each of the each of the featured yarns, there's featured patterns. You will learn about designers that you didn't know about before. There's then links straight to Ravelry, which is also amazing. I've added so many favorites. Like, it's just it makes it so easy for me as a knitter to kind of consume and do my own, I call it curating the favorites that I keep in Ravelry. I love it. It's literally sometimes the highlight of my week.
That's very kind. Thank you.
I'm going to remember that next time I'm swearing over doing it.
I know. Because I think you've mentioned in the newsletter before that it's a lot of work.
It is a lot
to
of
put
work,
it together. But it makes my life a lot sweeter, and I'm sure there's other people like me. Maybe there's me.
I'm going to be honest and say this year we talked about getting rid of it.
Oh no. Literally, I cried to let me do it.
Just because it does take us an entire day,
Oh wow.
one of us, to actually be writing it, and the other person, and Helen, our IT person, to be sort of supporting and setting up products and kits and all of those things to be putting into it. In one way, it's actually a really good reason for it. Like, it gives us that point where we go, well, we have to set those kits up for Friday for the newsletter. So we're constantly doing something every single week, which is great.
Yes.
It's a great, and don't worry, it's not going anywhere.
Thank you.
But it was just like, you know, when you get to the September, October, and you're like, oh, I need a holiday and I'm tired and oh, it's Friday again. And Janine and I alternate.
Yes.
So one
In doing the newsletter.
yeah, and,
Yes.
yeah. And then, of course, we know, because we get feedback like yours all the time. People email us about it. They tell us in person, and it's just like, no, we can't do that.
I even love the book recommendations.
We haven't done that for a little while.
I've got one for you.
Oh,
I
okay.
just finished one.
And it is.
It's called The Vaster Wilds by Lauren DeGroff. She's a American author. I've read a few of her books. It is a bit bleak, but does not end how you kind of think. It's not how this traditional is a historical fiction that is not written in how you might think historical fiction would be written. It's not like your typical swashbuckling romance type of thing.
Okay.
What's
There
it
you go.
called?
The Vaster Wilds.
The vest. Okay. All right. Look out for that one in the newsletter.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, just pulling up my questions. Can I just actually go off script for a minute
course.
and talk about your yarns?
Yeah.
Which I had a chance to peek at in the shop before we started filming, and I think they're beautiful. They like even more
Thank
beautiful
you.
in person than online. Like when you look at them online, they're like, oh, these are really nice. But when you see them in person, they're fantastic. They have that, oh my gosh, intensity.
Tasteful intensity.
Tasteful intensity. I actually can't say that. That's not coming off my tongue very well. Tasteful intensity. I'll have to practice that 3 times fast. They've got that tasteful intensity. How did that even come about?
Our own yarns. Our own yarns is something that we've always had in mind from when we first conceived the shop. And it was just a case of waiting until we were in the right place to start sourcing the base that we wanted. And we started with Fabulous Sock because we wanted a yarn that was beautiful to work with, but also had some life and wear in it. And we've obviously since then gone on and done our Romance, which is the beautiful merino silk, and then Joyful DK, which was the Blue Face Leicester.
And a new one coming up.
And a new one coming up, exactly.
Ooh.
But
We love secrets.
I think when you have your own brand in this industry, you really you want to have your own product and not just sell everyone else's product. And that's where it came from. And we have a dyer in house, Julia, who is amazing. She has an arts degree background.
So she actually she started working for us in COVID as a packer. And
Amazing.
She's actually Deb's niece.
She's my niece. So it was.
That's all right.
No, it was perfect.
Yeah.
She wasn't doing anything. I think she'd just finished uni and COVID happened, and we were like, oh my God, we've got so many parcels to pack. So we just called on her. And she then started dabbling with dyeing herself and did her first skeins, and we just went, wow, we could put these in the shop and sell them straight away. She's
A natural.
well, she considers herself to be a synesthete
Okay.
with colour.
Yes.
So she sees the world in colour, in a way that's completely different to anybody else, or to the way we do. So
I'm going to tangent there. There's another podcast called Invisibilia, and they had an entire episode on synesthesia and what it is. I'll try and link it in the description box below if I can find it. It's a fabulous podcast, and that's amazing.
So the way she puts colours together and layers them is really magic to watch her do it as well. And the great thing about her being a knitter as well as the dyer is that, for instance, she just didn't want any pooling happening. She didn't want to have. So I've got something I can show you. So this is the Fabulous Sock, and this is Summer Sorrel.
Yes.
And Blast Furnace is the colour. But you can just see it's an all over shimmer of colour rather than pools and blotches.
Yes.
So she's constantly working out how to do that with her dyeing. And always trying new techniques, and we're really lucky.
That's
to
very
have her.
exciting.
She loves it, and she has definitely blossomed in that role, which has been exciting to watch as well.
Yes. Yes. To have somebody find a real
Yeah.
calling.
Absolutely.
is super exciting.
Yes. So her the dye studio at the moment is in the bottom of our kind of office warehouse space. In the kitchen, we set everything up, and she loves quite emo music, doesn't she? Hardcore. And she'll be there with the music blaring and singing her head off.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So good. I love that. Do you have, I guess you've got all this beautiful yarn. What kind of guidance do you give people when they come in with a pattern that for a yarn that you don't carry, but they want some kind of substitute? Because sometimes that can be very tricky.
Very, very tricky. And I think that is the role of a local yarn store.
Yeah.
Because you can't possibly have every yarn, can you?
No.
It's just impossible.
No.
So you are there as that guide to actually say to somebody, okay, these are the factors that we've got to look at. The pattern might suggest that it's a sport weight yarn, for instance, but the gauge might not be a sport weight gauge, for instance. So you don't actually know what that yarn's really like. It's better off potentially looking at the gauge and finding a yarn that suits that gauge, right? So it's having that really tricky mix of working out what the yarn's like, and then obviously composition is another thing that you've got to look at. If it's got linen in it, it's going to be drapey. If it's, all sorts of different things.
Lots of patterns have one strand held with a mohair.
Yeah,
but not everybody wants to wear mohair.
No.
So it's being able to substitute something that will still work for the pattern without having a mohair in it. So fortunately we have an amazing group of staff who are all passionate about knitting and crochet and are well versed in being able to substitute.
Because it's not just about, like with a sport weight yarn, finding something else that's 300 meters per 100 grams.
No.
Like, that's just where it starts, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And it's how you want the garment to look or the product to look, how you're going to use it, how it's going to wear.
Or even
so much to consider. Washability.
And I look at things and knowing what your own gauge is like too.
Yes.
I look at a 4-ply pattern and it might have a gauge of 28 or 29. It's impossible for me to get that.
Yeah.
Right? You're a loose knitter, you might understand.
Yeah.
I've been able to tighten my knitting up, but I just cannot get that. So I either have to look, if I really want to make that, I have to look at a different size.
Yeah.
Or at a different gauge. Or something else.
Yeah.
another pattern,
Yeah.
most likely. But it's being able to look at a pattern that somebody brings in and offer them all of these different advice about it.
It's a real set of skills.
It really is a skill. And as Janine said, our staff are incredible. They're all totally immersed in the knitting and crochet world as well. Yeah. And I think you have to be.
Knitter with a capital K or crocheter with a capital C. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just going back to something you said about being able to pick, like someone comes in with a design that it's perhaps in a gauge that's unachievable, trying to find another design. It's actually not, maybe something exact isn't, obviously there won't be the exact design, but there's lots of different designers out there.
Absolutely.
Who are some of your favorites right now?
Oh, well, Helena Morton.
Oh, yeah. Eleanor Mortensen.
What did I say, Helena? Eleanor Mortensen. Just everything she's coming out with at the moment.
I've got something here.
We're sitting on my project.
We love.
Here you go. More I brought in. I haven't done this one for a while.
That's beautiful.
So this is an Our Fabulous sock as well. And this is Art Nouveau. And Janine's finished hers, but I still have only got that far because I started doing something else.
You started doing a test knit for her.
Oh, I did too. Oh, I forgot that. Which was really fun.
Yeah.
Doing test knitting, yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful and really delicate.
Yes.
I actually wouldn't have expected sock yarn to be able to kind of do that kind of color work.
Why not? As in sock yarn, do you mean like with nylon in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know why it's kind of ingrained in my head for like the more sticky kind of yarns for color work. But maybe, I guess that's perhaps only in steeking. But that's
I
looking
think
fabulous.
Well, you get a different effect because you actually can get much crisper lines sometimes with a smoother yarn.
Well, even these single stitches are
Yeah.
really popping.
Yes. I don't know if you can see that.
I'll take a photograph if
Yeah.
you can.
Yes.
Um,
Whereas if you've got a yarn which is a non-superwash stickier yarn, then and depending on the yarn construction as well, they can often be kind of fuzzier, right?
yeah.
I know
yeah.
that's not the technical word.
No, they
And
get,
they get more of a watercolor effect, so it's much
is it felt?
blendier.
It's not really felted, right? But it's,
it merges and
Yeah.
yeah.
but that's super crisp.
Yes. I know.
All right.
So
That's
Eleanor
beautiful.
Mortensen.
Who's this by?
This is by Irene Lynn.
Oh,
does lots of
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we get inspiration from the newsletter too. We're always sitting there going, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, I'll make that one next. I don't know that we've got, well, I don't know that I've necessarily got a favourite designer. I go down a rabbit hole and then try to do a couple of designs. And then move on to somebody else. But yeah, there's so many. There's so many great designers, aren't there?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And what do you have any products now that really excite you, or anything that's coming in soon that's
Well, other than our
secret?
new yarn,
Secret
which
new
is
yarn.
a secret new yarn. Anything in particular? I've just been away, so I'm just trying to get my head back into the.
Where were
into
you?
this. I just took a break and went to Japan with my husband. So that was really lovely.
I was in Japan in July and August this year.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's an amazing country, isn't it?
It's beautiful and lovely yarn shops.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to that many yarn shops, but did manage to do a little bit of yarn shopping.
Yes.
But yeah, for the most part, we were just being tourists, so that was fine.
Yeah.
What in the shop is really exciting at the moment?
All the redesign bags are amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we were totally thrilled when they invited us to be a stockist.
Miss Babs, sorry.
Oh yeah, Miss Babs.
Miss Babs always, doesn't matter what it is, when it comes in. Miss Babs, Spin Cycle are probably two of the yarns I love the most, aside from our own yarns.
Mad Tosh.
Mad Tosh. Mad Tosh was one of those ones that we said when we started, we both had collections of Madeline Tosh. We wanted to make sure that we had that. So Madeline Tosh is always exciting when it arrives as well.
You had a Madeline Tosh kit for one of the Stephen West M cows once,
Oh,
right?
right.
That, in fact, I forwarded your newsletter to my mother, who's also a knitter in the US.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want that kit. And I was like, all right. And I went on and it was sold out. I was like gutted, not only for me or for her, but then also for me. We went to the Madeline Tosh website to try and find the colors for her, because it would be more accessible for her to just
of course.
order it directly from Madeline Tosh in any event. But that website, like trying to locate the color was I think it required like an advanced degree.
Right. Yes. We agree. We look at it and just go,
I think there's just so
why?
many. There's just so many colors available. It's just a bit, and trying to walk my mother through it. It was just like an experience I probably don't want to repeat. So we'll get quicker at ordering the kits next time.
You see it, just hit the add to cart.
But yeah, so thank you for, like you said before, making that online shopping experience much easier.
We're constantly refining it as well. And we see what other people are doing, and we try and take those ideas if we can, and
See if we can apply them.
yeah, you can't just anything in business, you just can't set it and forget it. Unfortunately, you're always having to, grow and change, and as everything changes in the world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And pivot. I think that's what COVID taught us, right?
Yeah. You've got to be able to pivot. You've got to be resilience
Yes.
and just reinvention, right?
Yeah, always.
Mm.
And like COVID, one of the good things that came out of it was the videos.
Yes.
We started doing
A video a day.
A video a day. We got up to 100. And now we obviously don't do a video a day. We just can't fit it in.
That's like a 100-day Vlogmas. Have you
Yeah.
know? I can't even imagine.
And we still have people come in and say that they used to watch it, and it used to give them that thing to talk about, say with their sister in Melbourne. They would go, if you watch the video today, and then they'd have a chat about what we chatted about. So, that comes back down to the community side of things. So we wouldn't have we probably would have taken a bit longer to get to that point with the videoing and everything if we weren't almost forced into it.
Yeah.
To find a way to actually connect with people other than just in person.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And I think I've seen some of your unboxing videos as well. Those are always really fun. It's like having vicarious happy mail.
Absolutely.
So where can viewers find you? Well, you can find our shop in Dulwich Hill in Sydney's Inner West. We're on New Canterbury Road. And we're open every day, 10 till 4, Monday to Saturday, 11 till 3, Sundays. Except in January. In January we'll be closed Sundays, just because we need to have a bit of a break.
Have a little break.
Yeah. Just a little break, yeah.
And how long did it take you to get from the airport here this morning?
Under 20 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah. So we're really close to the airport. We're really close to the road from Canberra as well. And there's parking everywhere.
Close to the light rail.
And the train. Yeah.
So
very accessible.
Yeah, very. And that was one reason why when we saw this building, I keep pointing this way because that's where the shop is that way. Apologies. It's close to both of where we live. So that was one big plus. It was a total disaster of a building, but it took us a long time to get that happening. But it was also there was parking, because people come here and they might be doing a knitting class for 3 hours or a day even.
So parking was important.
Accessibility, public transport, all of those different things was really important. And then our website is skeinsisters.com.au, and it's on Insta and YouTube, and Facebook is all just Skein Sisters.
Okay, I have links to those down below. Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. This has been so fun for me, and I'm really looking forward to heading over to the shop and having some squishes and feels of the yarns, some of which I've never seen in person. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for asking us.
Yeah, it's been a thrill.
It's lovely to meet you.
You too. Oh my god.
Here we go. You try.
Love it. Thank you so much. Until next time, everybody, I should say, if you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing and sharing the video so we can get the word out about all the fiber mates we have here in Australia. Thanks so much, and until next time, happy making!